Good evening, everyone, and welcome to SharkWave News. We are your presenters, Prestonite Platoon
and Prestonites Eyewater.
The highlights of this week's news are: election fever is rising high on the UWI campus and especially at the Aston Preston Hall. As we know, we have multiple people running as candidates for hall executives. However, the most anticipated battle of this election is between Ajani Potcover Campbell and Camilla Mickey Mouse Clubhouse Brown.
We have conducted interviews with both candidates so the hall can learn more about who exactly they are and what the candidates have to offer.
And why do you think you should be the next deputy hall chair?
Because pod cover has a plan. Because at the end of the day, I am personally pod cover, and pod cover has a plan. Pod cover is someone who's very vocal, who stand for advocacy and represents people. And I think Preston lacks a person like me, and I'm also someone who has the vibes, the energy, who wishes to see Preston, the culture and make a spirit of Preston come back, and I think I am capable of bringing back that spirit to Preston. Yes.
Because people see potential in me, and if somebody see potential in you, then that means there is something there. So I'm going to maximize on that, that potential. And I think may have the plans and may have the vision, so lead the people them.
That's true.
Both are accomplished candidates and both have the potential, but who will the Prestonites choose to serve them?
Based on polls carried out by SharkWave News, the people are in favor of Brown, with 58.8% of respondents voting in her favor, while 35.3% voted for Campbell and 5.0% were undecided. 56.9% of voters stated that they were in favor of Camilla due to her larger skill set and experiences.
The polls, however, do not have the final say. We as Prestonites do. And as such, we invite you all to come out and exercise your democratic rights at the guild elections on March 24 to 26, 2023.
Meanwhile, Prestonites will decide the members of their hall committee this week. Returning officer Justin Allen explains voting will be done using physical ballots. We hear more in this rice pudding report.
Returning officer for the AZ Preston Hall 2023-2024 Hall Committee Justin Allen says preparations are ongoing to ensure a seamless election process.
So far we have put in place an RO committee comprised of the returning officer, the RO in charge of leadership, as well as different representatives from each cluster. Thus far we have completed the candidate vetting process.
Candidates officially began their campaigns last week.
What I can say is that most of the posts are uncontested. There is one post that is outstanding but will be filled by appointment when the new committee is installed. So what we're now working on is organizing the debates that are set for the 22nd and the 23rd of March, as well as organizing and printing ballots.
Executive elections take place March 24 from 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. Cluster representatives will be decided March 23. In addition to the 8 candidates vying for 7 positions on the Hall Executive, 12 candidates have been duly nominated across 10 clusters. For SharkWave News, I am Prestonite Rice Pudding.
In other news, Games Coordinator Chairperson Art Gilchrist has been recently under fire following his absence from his post on Sports Day. We approached Mr. Gilchrist to hear his side of the story.
So I had a swim assessment for work and travel the Wednesday, but it got pushed to the Thursday. I have evidence of this, but I couldn't. It's out of my control. I'm not the one assessing myself. My swim trainer is the one assessing me.
Yes.
And in order for me to do my lifeguard training on the Friday and the Sunday, I had to be attendance for the swim training on Thursday.
In UWI news, guild elections are on the horizon, and it is a head-to-head battle between Omalora Wilson, who is the current serving guild president, and her challenger, Genevieve Richards, as she aims to sway the people with her slogan, "Believe with Genevieve," for the position of guild president.
Who will the UWI population be voting for? We at SharkWave News had an exclusive interview with each candidate to give our Prestonites a taste of what each candidate has to offer.
believe in Jenny for safety and security, believe in Jenny for welfare, believe in Jenny for advocacy, and believe in Jenny for transparency. Prestonites, I cannot tell you I'm going to do everything, but believe in Jenny for quality over quantity.
Greetings, Prestonites, in the land of purple and white, home of the great sharks of the University of the West Indies. Last year, I was charged to walk the Wilson Way for answer. Prestonites all. I walked the Wilson Way last year to ensure that you had a phenomenal year as students at the University of the West Indies. I, Auntie Omi, will continue to do the job, but I need you to stand behind me while I continue to do the research, while I continue to be your voice of reason, while I continue to represent on all levels for you, the Sharks of the University of the West Indies.
Now for national developments. Prime Minister Andrew Holness on Thursday announced a 44% increase in the national minimum wage. He stated that on June 1, 2023, the national minimum wage will increase from $9,000 per 40-hour work week to $13,000 per 40-hour work week. The increase, he said, is the largest in 20 years, setting off more shouts of approval on his side of the chamber. In other news, militant firefighter lists demands amid protests atop Halfway Tree Transport Center. Firefighter Sergeant Leah Bennett took his one-man protest to the top of the Halfway Tree Transport Center in St. Andrew on Tuesday morning. Says he has a list of demands that need urgent attention. Bennett was protesting what he says is the ill treatment of his colleagues whose welfare is being ignored. The firefighter, who took extreme measures to have his voice heard, confirmed that he, along with 6 other members of the Jamaica Fire Brigade, were suspended after a protest last May, which highlighted the same issues he has brought forth on Tuesday.
This story from the BBC. Now for news from further afield. The International Criminal Court (ICC) has issued an arrest warrant for Russian President Vladimir Putin. The court alleges he is responsible for war crimes and has focused its claims on the unlawful deportation of children from Ukraine to Russia. It says the crimes were committed in Ukraine from 24 February 2022, when Russia launched its full-scale invasion. Moscow has denied the allegations and labeled the warrants as outrageous. It is highly unlikely that much will come from the move. The ICC has no powers to arrest suspects and can only exercise jurisdiction within its member countries, and Russia is not one of them. In banking and finance news, a group of big U.S. banks has injected $30 billion into a smaller regional bank, First Republic, which had been seen as at risk of failure. The move comes as authorities in the U.S. are trying to quell panic over the health of the banking system after a series of bank collapses. Worries about the sector have spread globally, raising fears of a crisis. U.S. regulators called the move most welcome, while the banks said their action reflected their confidence. Problems in the banking sector surfaced in the U.S. last week when Silicon Valley Bank (SVB), the country's 16th largest lender, collapsed in the biggest failure of a U.S. bank since 2008. That was followed 2 days later by the failure of New York's Signature Bank. That story also from the BBC.
Thank you for listening to SharkWave News. Remember to join us next week Sunday at 5 p.m.
for news on Hall, on UWI, and around the world.
This is Prestonite Platoon.
And I am Prestonite Eyewater.
Signing out. SharkWave News.
Don't let the news swing by.